Hi folks, so going from the last video talking about PSG and how, you know, United should have listened to Rednick, and I said in that video that, if I went into a church I would contact the previous person, okay. Now I mentioned Rick Manuel and the River Church. Well, okay, if God said to me he wanted me to replace Rick at the Pentecostal Church, which I don't think he will, but that's just for a second that maybe that's what God will want. Yeah. If that was the case, yes, I would have a conversation with Rick. I would have a conversation with Manuel, if I could. I'd have a conversation with people in the leadership team. Even though I know, without a shadow of a doubt, the biggest problems in that church are those very people. Rick, Manuel, they are the biggest problems within that church. Well, because the person who is ministering on a Sunday, on a regular basis, that person who is there bringing the word, if that person can see issues within the church and is not even trying to address that, is not even going to God, asking God how to address that, asking God to lead him in that, then that person is the biggest problem. Because, guarantee, absolute guarantee. Yeah. Of course. That person who is bringing it, that person who is the leader of the church, that person who has dealings with the people in the church, knows exactly who are the problem people in that church. They know that. But in most cases, they don't care. The reason why, as I say, the reason why they don't care is because they don't want to upset. The old phrase goes, we don't want to upset the apple cart. Well, they don't. Because they know that consequences will come from that. As I said before, it's even the case in churches. They know if you start doing things according to God, you have a number of problems. One problem being, you have that situation coming where you go, oh, okay, right. If we start doing things differently to other churches, if we start holding people accountable, if we start doing all of that, there are going to be consequences. One thing is, we're now on our own because these other churches around, they don't do things this way, and they're going to turn against us as soon as they realise that we are. So therefore, we're on our own. Now, that Pentecostal church, I know it was at one point. It may still be, probably it still is. It was part of a group of churches. And I think it's quite likely that, again, I think it's the same with the River Church. The River Church is part of a load of churches. And I think the head organisation in charge of both churches, I don't think it's the same organisation, but I think both organisations that are in charge of those churches are going to be in America. So one of the first things you have to do, for me, if I was going to replace Rick, I would have to say to the church, we're going to leave whatever organisation we're with. We're going to step away from that. And we're going to say we're going to be now an independent church. We're not going to be a Pentecostal church anymore. We're going to be an independent church. We're not going to be the Albion Community Church of God, because no. That was the case with Manuel. That was the case with Rick. And it was always the community church of Manuel and community church of Rick. So we're not going to go down that avenue. We're going to change things. Because, again, this is the point. When I was talking about football and stuff like that, occasionally you get someone in who understands. And Ralph Rangnick was one who understood. He had a good look at Man United while he was there and understood, oh my God, they need major heart surgery to get this club right. It's something major that needs to be done rather than minor. Because every single summer people were talking about 3 or 4 players coming in will sort the problem out. No. Ralph Rangnick said, no, 3 or 4 players won't be enough. This is far more serious than that. This club is in a far bigger state than that. And he was right. Yes, of course he was, yes. And if they would have made him the director of football, then the club would be in a far better position now than it is. That's pretty clear to see. And it's the same with churches. If you get people in who actually have an understanding, I say basically get people involved in leadership who have a desire for God. Yeah, don't get people. Right now, there is a situation in churches, and I think it's most churches, where the leadership is primarily old people. Old people that are retired, or at least semi-retired. Therefore, they have the time. They don't mind giving up a bit of time for the church. But they haven't really got an incredible amount of enthusiasm for change or for moving forwards in a different way because they're too blinking old for that. They've changed. They've gone through changes in their life. They've changed jobs, they've changed houses. Some of them have even changed marriages. And so they've been through stuff and they've been through change and they understand that change is incredibly tough. Yeah. So therefore they are incredibly against the idea of change. Especially in their church because, change happens in your life. You don't really want it in your church. Right? Because the problem is what people don't understand is you change your church, you make the changes in the church that God is showing you that need to be made, and your lives will get better. People just don't. I was walking back from wherever I was walking back from today. I had a little walk around. And speaking of God, about this point, because this morning, very interesting, got up this morning, said to God, okay, I understand, I've got to learn to stop reacting. Okay, let's start again today, shall we? Let's see what today offers. Straight away. Straight away. Let the dogs out to pee and poo. I can't go out there with them, right? If I go out there with them, they just stand looking at me. They won't go. Not unless I'm absolutely desperate, they won't go. So therefore, I've got to close the door, come in. My window here is blackened out because I don't have 2 levels. My lounge is my bedroom, and because I have sleep apnea, I need the windows blacked out. So therefore, there's not too much light coming in. So that in the day when I need to sleep, or if I've had a terrible night's sleep, if I'm sleeping longer in the morning, I don't get woken up by the light. So therefore, I can't see out. So I have to open the top bit of window to see. As soon as I did that this morning, Suki was doing his poo. He stopped. He was half way through doing his poo, and he stopped. He thought, right, time to come in. So he stopped pooping. There was poop still coming out of his butt at the time. And he started coming in. I was going, no, finish your poo. I had to go out, Saul, get back up there and finish your poo, because I got a little stony area when they're supposed to poo. And he wouldn't, because now I'm out there with him, he won't do it. If I leave him out there, he won't do it. Right? So, okay. The problem is he then sat down with poo coming out of his butt. Not helpful. So, okay. Oh. Trying to get him out of the way so I could deal with it. Bambini was now in the way, so I told him to get up there a bit, get out of the way a second. He went up and he ate the poo that was on the ground, which, oh, for goodness sake. The reason why I opened the window to check, because I'm trying to make sure they don't eat poo. There he is eating poo. So by this point I was getting a bit bloody annoyed. Saul, thinking it's okay to come in mid-poo, would come indoors and bring the poo indoors. Right? No. Bambini going there eating poo again. Oh, for goodness sake. So, yeah, I'd already lost it by that point in time. I'd already been reacting. Oh, for goodness sake, really? But that's the point. I was walking back saying, yeah, okay, I learned not to react. I did a video the other day saying about the fact that, walking around the park and understanding that the thing that's blocking things from moving, I might be blocking things from moving, is the fact that I'm not doing this. I'm not doing what it is I should be doing. Because I'm not. I am supposed to be learning to not react. Right? Okay. What I was trying to do at the time was more avoidance of things rather than, learning how to deal with things properly. So, okay. Right. Best get on with that then. Best try and do that, yeah. Okay. Yeah. But as I say, then walking back today, saying to God, it's quite possible that I learn not to react and nothing's going to change. I will still be in this situation. I will still have no money. Nothing's going to move forward. That is quite within the realm of possibilities, that nothing changes. And God says, but you'll have more peace because you won't be reacting. Yeah, that's true. But, yeah. Yeah. It is true, you will have more peace and therefore your life will improve. Obviously to a certain degree. But there's a journey to get there. And that was the thing I was saying to God. So is that journey worth it? And of course, that's why I say older people in church, are they willing to go through the journey for change? Because, when you don't know that there will be change, that you could go through a heck of a lot and see virtually nothing change. You can understand very, very much how people in those situations are not really enthusiastic about going through it. Well, because I was saying to God, I understand completely that there is a time, and it may be too early to see all those things happening that I was hoping and believing in to happen. So therefore I know that going through all of that might not bring anything of any substance. But I know that I've been a bit reactive recently. I was walking up to somewhere with the dogs, recently. Because I can't drive right now because the car is knackered. And also insurance is going to be really expensive because of the accident and the 7 points. I walked the dog, so I was going to the rugby field where you've got the low bit of water, low bit of river down there. And of course, with Bambini, as soon as he starts to walk, he wants to poo. Right? And if you walk up the road, a different way to there, then there's not an awful lot of bins. And you've got 2 dogs on leads, and you've got a bag of poo that you're carrying around as well. Not ideal. So I was getting a bit blinking annoyed trying to find a bin and getting quite frustrated at the fact I couldn't find a blinking bin. And there's a shop up the road and they've got bins there, but you don't even know which bin it's supposed to be for that. But you're expected to pick up the poo and then put it where? There's no blinking bins. So I was getting quite annoyed. So as I said, I got banned from Poundland because I got annoyed at the fact that they have a system where they take charity money off you if you can't see the message. And you press the green button to continue, you think that that's what you're going to do, and not realising that they're going to take charity money off you. And for me, that's naughty. But the fact that I'm dealing with stupidity and dealing with things that are wrong, with lies and all stuff like that, and trying not to react to all that stuff all the time, that when I do react, I can get a bit more reactive. So then, of course, if I can learn not to react, that cuts all of that out, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. It does. It cuts it all out. Because that's the point. But it's just a case of there's something I need to do that's going to help me to do that, and right now I'm not quite at that point of understanding what I need to do that's going to help me to do that. But that's the thing. And it's not about trying to make a deal with God that yes, if you do that, that means that this, that, and this, that, and this, that, and this, that will happen. Because no. Right now, the reality is, I know it's quite likely that I will learn to walk as a son, and there will be of no benefit to that at all. It won't help anyone else because no one else is going to listen or take any notice, and my life is not going to change in a way that people are going to notice, because in the world people don't look at necessarily at whether or not you react or not, because most people aren't around you enough to notice. What they look at is, are you living in a nice place? Do you have a nice car? Do you have nice clothes? That's what they look at. Is your life blessed? But they judge blessed by that stuff, don't they? Okay. So even though my life could be very, very blessed, people won't notice, so people won't take notice of it. Yeah? So, that's the thing. You hope for so long that, that you'll be helping other people by doing this, that you're going through this journey and you're going through these hard times learning this and learning that and learning this and learning that. And, you go and pay all that money for the stickers to put on the car, and the car doesn't pass an MOT, and you've got no money to sort it out. And, of course, nobody wants to help to sort it out, even though supposedly even the people that are supposed to care about God don't care about God enough to care about a tool that points to God to be sorted out so that tool can be used. Yeah. It's, yeah. I don't understand it. There's so much there that I don't understand. So there you go. It is what it is. But there we are. So yeah, tomorrow we'll start again. And we shall see. What I'm going to do in the mornings is, before I let them out to pee and poo, is open the top window before they go out. Because the reason why I open the top window is because I want to see when they have pooed. I can say to them, I'm coming out to get you, and then they stop trying to eat the poo and they come towards the door to be let in. Right? The problem is that Bambi, if he's going to poo and he hears the window open, he will stop. If Suxi is pooing, he will stop. So with Suxi, I just have to leave him out there. He finishes poo, and then I tried to wipe his butt, but even with a wipe, it was too much messy. So I had to get the shower and with cold water, squirt his butt a few times to, not the shower, the hose, to squirt his butt a few times to clean it, and then he had a wet butt. He had a cold wet butt because of it. Well, there you go. Learn to finish your poo. Don't think you can come in and bring that in with you. No, you can't do that. No. Yeah. But as I say, there are ways to deal with it to make the situation easier and to stop the problems. And right now, that's the thing. Learn from it. So, I understand fully why people that are retired and people in their 70s, 80s, 90s, why they don't want to go through any major changes. Because, not only are dealing with changes difficult because, you make mistakes and you've got to learn, you've got to make effort, but also, the reward won't necessarily be what most people will consider to be worth it. And so, But I do think it is a case that, I think it's a certainty. If you're guided by God and you sort the church out to a point where you're doing things according to His will and His ways in that church, the lives of people in that church will improve. The lives of people around that church will improve. The lives of people who live around the area of that church will improve. But yes, effort is required. Mistakes will happen. All the things that are needed to learn, you will have to go through. So, there you go. I wish you well. And if you're going through a situation where you're having to learn, then grit your teeth. And understand, if God wants you to go through this, it really is for your benefit. Even though you can't necessarily see it right now. He can see the big picture. Enjoy.